Hi everyone, thank you all for joining us. Before we dive into the questions, my name is Mary Wassel and I'm a registered voter. I live in the city of Erie and I also work in the city of Erie at a company called Parker Phillips. It's a consulting firm that specializes in marketing communications, public affairs, and economic impact and research. So this race is very important to me because it directly impacts my life as it does all City of Erie residents. And so that's why I'm here with Tyler Titus, who is running for Erie City Council. So hi Tyler, how are you doing?
Great. Thank you for coming.
Of course. So why don't you just start out giving a little introduction about yourself and what led you to run?
Great question. So for me, this all starts back, when I was little, right? Yeah. Growing up in poverty, watching my classmates struggle, watching my family struggle. From a very early age, I felt like the people who were elected to represent me didn't even know about me. They didn't really care. And so as I grew up, I got more involved and wanted to make sure that I was creating and part of the change that built this momentum, that people knew that they were seen, that they were valuable, that they mattered, that their story mattered, their struggles mattered, and that those we put in office were supposed to be out there helping us. And so I jumped in the race for school board in 2017 because when I was working as a therapist with kids who were in foster care or in other aggregate care settings, I heard from families time and time again how they were struggling. They couldn't find work. They couldn't get access to the resources. And I knew then that I had to do something, right? I had to get involved. And so when I was on the school board, I learned about the budgets. I learned about transportation. I learned about the jobs. I learned about the taxes. I learned about the structures. But most importantly, I learned about the people that were getting left behind. Right? It became even more evident that I needed to do something. And so that's why I'm here, and that's why I stay active, and that's why I'm running. This city is a city that I believe in. I'm raising my family here, and this is a city that I want my kids to stay in. This is a city that I want other people to come and build in. And so in order to do that, we've got to put people first. So that's why I'm in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so important, lifting up, all City of Erie residents, but especially those that are often left behind or left unheard. So that's definitely key. So what separates you from the other candidates?
When I served, I talked a little bit about serving on the school board, but when I served on the school board, and you're there and you are in that capacity, right? I'm overseeing a $100 million budget. When I come on, we're in the red, and by the time I leave, we're in the green. But I'm hearing the families, and I'm seeing the things. I'm having this direct impact. Then I'm serving for the governor on a commission at a statewide level, and I'm helping throughout the Commonwealth create resolutions, policies, amendments that are impacting cities and in rural spaces, and seeing how when we work together and you've got committed minds, the change that you can make. So as somebody who's worked in an elected and an appointed capacity, who's oversaw large budgets, as somebody who is a small business owner, but as somebody who's also a parent and a resident here in the city, right? I feel firsthand of what's missing. I see where the hope is. I see where the hurt is. And so I'm bringing all of that to the table.
Yeah, no, and you play so many different roles in the community, and you've seen it from all different angles. So yes. Yeah, that's very important. So when elected to office, what are your priorities?
There's so much happening in Erie right now, right? You can't drive down State Street and not feel a sense of hope. But when you deviate away, you start to see some of the spots that have been forgotten, where we haven't invested, right? And so for me, priorities are making sure that we have access to safe and affordable housing. When we see that that we've only got 4% of home ownership belonging to our Black city members, that's a problem. Yeah. When we see large investors from outside of the city or outside of the state gobbling up our real estate, that's a problem. When we're watching local businesses worrying about how am I going to hire staff, who's here, people are leaving, how am I going to fund and pay these bills, that's a problem. So all of these things are priorities for me, right? Making sure that we've got safe, affordable housing, making sure that we're investing in local infrastructure and local businesses, making sure that we're teaming up so that our kids not just, they want to stay, but they're excited to stay, right? Because they've got opportunity for great jobs. And that businesses look at the businesses that are here and they're like, they're succeeding. That's where we want to be.
Yeah.
We've got a beautiful asset in the lake. We need to be elevating that and drawing in new businesses and new family members and making sure that our population increases. The economy will never soar until we have the people who are here and they're staying and they're building.
Absolutely, yeah. And like you mentioned, Erie is in a constant state of growth.
Yes.
And it's very exciting to watch, but at the same time, we want to make sure, like we already mentioned, that no one's getting left behind in the process, and really, creating that generational change, that generational impact, especially, for our BIPOC community is so crucial. So I want to pivot now. So in 2021, you ran for county executive.
Yes.
So how are the conversations now, running for Erie City Council? What are the conversations like now? What are people talking about? What are they telling you?
So there's been a small change when I'm out and I'm knocking on doors, right? But there's a heightened sense around safety, right? I'm worried about sending my kids to school. I'm worried about some of the violence that I'm seeing. I'm worried that when my kids do graduate, that where are they gonna go? They can't see a future for themselves here. But there's also a lot of similarities. Those being, we love this space, we want to stay here, give us a reason to stay here. We see investment possibilities, right? We love the lake. We're so close with our neighbors. So there's a communities within the big community, right? And so we have a lot of possibility, we have a lot of excitement, and we have a lot of ambitious people in Erie.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just haven't done a great job of investing in their ambition or giving them the resources that they need, or if they're launching, for example, a small business.
Yeah.
What are we doing around that neighborhood to make sure that people have the transportation to get to that business?
Yeah.
That they've got the trained workforce to pull from. So for me, those conversations are the same. Like, what are you gonna do to help my family? How are you gonna make sure the schools are safe? How are you gonna make sure my business succeeds? And those are the conversations that I love having.
Yeah.
So even though they've shifted just a little bit, they're very, very similar.
Yeah, no, and I think it's important, every single conversation matters, every single, City of Erie resident matters, every voter matters. And so, not only having these conversations, but then also taking their words and putting it into action. And so crucial. And I know you will do that as
yes, thank
Erie
you.
City
That's
Council.
I don't know how to let off the gas pedal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just one of those things that someday I'll run out of a bit of energy, but I don't see that anytime soon. And when I say I believe in this city, it can come across as very hokey, very like that's what politicians say.
Yeah.
I genuinely, in a cellular way, believe in what this city and this region can do. When I moved here from Titusville, my eyes lit up, right? And I just knew this is where I was going to raise my family, this is where I was going to start my business, and this is where I wanted my kids to eventually raise their families.
Yeah, no, and I've had the pleasure of getting to know you over the past couple years, and I mean your energy is contagious, and
Thanks.
you're a very genuine person, and you can tell, you love Erie, and you want the best
Yes.
for it. Yeah, so absolutely. So we've covered a lot of ground today. We talked about a lot, and but we didn't get to everything. So if someone wanted to reach out to you, reach out to your campaign, if they wanted to voice their concern versus their opinion, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Great question. So we are on all the social media platforms, right? So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, but more importantly, you can go to the website, tylertitus.com. You can send me over an email at tylertitus.com. So we try to keep it all nice and memorable there. And just shoot me a message, and I'll come grab a coffee. We can go for a walk. I'll sit on the porch. Those are my favorite conversations, porch conversations. But just reach out. I want to listen, right? The city grows as fast as the people who invest in the belief of it, right? So if we're building things that no one's excited about, we're not going to move. So we've got to have these conversations, and I want to have these conversations. So please reach out to me.
Yeah. So before we wrap up here, is there anything else you would like the voters to know, like the City of Erie residents to know?
Yeah. So. It is critical for us to understand that right now we're in a pivotal moment. We've got a lot of money still coming through with the federal investment, with state investments, and it's time that we make sure that not just are we getting innovative, passionate, tons of energy in on city council, but when we see things happening at a county level that have stalled out some of our development, we have got to make sure our city core is strong. This is our Erie. This is our community. It is our time. We've got to make sure that we've got a plan to vote on May 16th. You've got to make sure everybody in your friends list on your social media pages has a plan to vote by May 16th, whether that is you're doing it by mail or whether that is you're showing up on May 16th at the place that you vote. Make sure it happens. Don't wait until the last minute, and then make it contagious. This is our Erie. This is our community. So let's make sure we put the right people on city council that are going to keep building for all of us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tyler. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. And yeah, like Tyler mentioned, May 16th, get out the vote. Every vote matters. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.